Hello friends, we're about to begin a truly motivating, inspiring and life-changing journey on our special series, The Healing Touch by Nawaz Modi Singhania, India's leading lifestyle and fitness icon, the founder of Body Art and Fitness Center and popularly known as the First Lady of Fitness in India. She's a certified fitness professional from ACE and IDEA, helping individuals across the globe to be healthier and fitter. She has helped and guided marathoner Michelle Kakte to achieve the Guinness World Record. Not just that, during COVID-19, she spearheaded the online programs to help people stay active and healthy. She collaborated with Bollywood celebrities to help promote fitness. Beyond fitness, Nawaz is also a noted columnist, artist, author of the book Pause Rewind. She also brings her expertise to the corporate world as a board of director at the Raymond Limited. Welcome to the show, The Healing Touch by Nawaz Modi Singhania. Today, we're deep diving into a very fascinating and often overlooked healing topic, that is the womb state healing. Have you ever wondered that most of our mental, emotional and physical patterns are formed way before we are born, in the womb? Science and spirituality both tell us that life doesn't start at birth, but much earlier in the womb. The experiences, emotions and energy of the mother can leave deep imprints on the child before even it takes its first breath. To help us explore this powerful topic, over to the incredible Nawaz Modi Singhania. So welcome to the show, The Healing Touch. I've been super excited to know about the state of womb healing, and we have the best with us to share your expertise and everything that one needs to learn about themselves.
Thank you for having me. Excited to get into it with you.
Well, Nawaz, many people believe that life begins when you take birth, but you speak something different. You speak that it begins much earlier. Can you shed some light on that?
So the chakra that is related to the womb, the Swadhisthana, there is a burst of energy out there. All matter is energy eventually, different condensations of energy. And when a single cell being is multiplied and the fetus takes life, just as the body takes a while to come in, to amalgamate, to become a whole human body, it takes all those 9 months to form. Similarly, the soul comes in bit by bit. Now, medically and spiritually, you may be told it comes at this time, that time. But the basic fact of the matter is that life exists. Life is happening. It cannot be stopped. It's happening all the while. Different stages of consciousness, different stages of realization come in. When sexual energy amalgamates and comes to an explosion, life is there. It is created. And at that point in time, you have the soul coming in phases and stages. When there is awareness, you can call it an actual soul. When there is an awareness of self, when there is a boundary, you can call it that energy field, having composed itself in a fashion which actually then works to be recorded in heavenly scriptures as a soul. It makes a difference then which side it ends up on, this side of the fence or that side of the fence. It actually makes that dent. The soul actually enters and leaves the body traditionally through the top of the head. The skull is the softest part of the body. It takes a long time to harden and amalgamate. And up until that time, the soul can leave any time. There are no whys, there is no reasoning to it. It can just be.
Well, you spoke about the spiritual aspect, but when it comes to holistic wellness, which is your expertise, when did you come across this womb healing, which is a completely new concept to people?
So the issue in fitness, in wellness, in dealing with the body is that you cannot separate it from the mind, the spirit, your mental state, your emotional state, your psychological state. They are all one. They all are deeply linked, and one affects the other. When it comes to holistic healing, most of our problems really start from childhood. Wounds really start from even further back into womb state, and therefore it's very directly linked. It's like saying it's the seed really that grows the whole tree. So you can see the tree, you can see the leaves, the fruits, the flowers, the branches, etc. And you say, now why is it connected to the seed? The seed is long gone. And while that is so, everything starts with the seed, and the fruit doesn't fall far from that tree. You plant a mango tree, you will get mangoes. You plant a lemon tree, you will get lemons. It's that simple. So it's very much a reflection entirely of what was in the past.
So are you saying that the womb, that's where it starts learning things and understanding things?
So it's quite amazing that you touch upon that, because a fetus actually comes already with a vocabulary of 1,250 words.
Wow.
Already. Where does that come from? It comes from times gone past. It comes from previous lifetimes. It comes from many things, and that opens a wide open field out there that we won't get into in the interest of time. But yes, it eventually comes with that kind of vocabulary, and therefore we end up managing ourselves when we're pregnant or have a pregnant woman around us as if nobody else is in the room, as if the child is not there. It's very much there. So if there's anything that's happening around the place, good, bad, ugly, it picks up on all of that and picks up on the mother's emotions through the heartbeat, through the pulse, through the breath, through the anxiety, through the release of, all sorts of hormones that the child immediately picks up on. Even lactic acid, in the case of danger, in the case of, a person is active, moving, running away, something's happening, etc. It's all picked up on energetically, spiritually. Has a very, very deep impact on a child in very, very formative stages. Now, at that point in time, a child slowly is understanding, a fetus slowly is understanding how safe or unsafe its environment is, and is therefore deciding what stance it needs to take to best protect itself. And that then ends up forming a worldview, its personality, its characteristics, and everything else that it invites into its life.
So are you saying that when a mother has experienced any kind of emotions, be it physical, mental, the womb or the fetus is experiencing everything and eventually creates those patterns in their life further?
Absolutely, because the fetus is 100% dependent on the mother. There is no external, it's not even drawing a breath on its own. Every single thing is the mother, the food is the mother, everything is replicated from there. So anything she feels, she thinks, she experiences, a pulse, a heart rate, any and everything, like I said, all hormonal releases, circulation, everything is picked up on energetically, whether it's spoken or not. So a better way to explain that is when a child is born and is still very much an infant, how does it pick up on the emotions of those around, especially the mother? If the mother is really anxious and feeding the child will get really upset and anxious. If the mother is in a hurry to go out somewhere, how does the child know it, feel it, and get really upset over it? It's all energy. Everything is energy. It's not words. Even words are energy. So energetically, everything is 100% replicated.
So just like the mother has an intuition when the child is about to cry or is not feeling good or is hungry, the child also, the infant also feels everything.
That mother is the mothership. There is nothing else. There is no other world beside it, right? A child individuates much later to become its own. It'll crawl, it'll look back, mother is giving encouragement, then it'll crawl further. Otherwise, no, otherwise it's stuck to the mother. Umbilical cord will always then stay. Same thing when the child becomes a toddler and starts trying to take its first few steps with or without help. It'll always look back at the parents. Yes, no, can I, can't I? That is the whole world. They're trying to individuate. So up until then, it is 100% amalgamated. There is no difference whatever.
But often we think that infants or babies, they don't understand the language, they're not much aware. So people around them, be it chaos, be it enjoyment, everything is happening around them. Do you think that parents should be much more aware while they're around the child?
They should be much more aware from the fetus stage. In fact, it is researched, known and proved that the maximum damage happens to a child, happens to the fetus, in terms of preterm births or, underdevelopment, so on and so forth, later cognitive behavioral problems, etc. When damage happens to the mother or something horrific happens with the mother, closer to conception. That's how far back it goes. So yes, if there is joy, there's laughter. It feels good. The child feels good. If there are angry words, if the things are thrown, if there's rage, if there's crying, if there's, out of control, etc., etc., it feels bad. And that's what the child picks up on immediately. The fetus picks up on immediately.
I guess I overheard this where I heard a pregnant woman listening to affirmations, and again in Hindu culture we speak about mantras and all of this. So even that relates to what we are speaking.
That relates hugely. I used to listen to a lot of mantras when my first daughter was born. Before the girl was even taken out of the house, on the very first 40 days you don't take a child out of the house when they're born in many Hindu families. And the first trip we made with my daughter was to Tirupati, to Balaji's temple. And that little infant, 40 days old, has actually joined our hands for the first time as we are descending into Tirumala. She then became, as she grew up, she became very spiritually and religiously inclined, knowing all the bhajans and all. In fact, she's got a Limca Book of World Records on the amount of, shloks, bhajans, etc., she knew and could rattle off. To give you another example of just what you're trying to ask me out here, when my elder daughter was, when I was pregnant with my elder child, I wanted a child who had olive skin and had deep dimples, because some friends of mine had children with olive skin and deep dimples, and they were just the cutest, the most adorable, and I just wanted that. Guess what? You'll see her now today and say, oh my God, what great olive skin and the deepest dimples you've ever seen. Nobody in our family has them. Conversely, on my younger child, I now wanted a daughter who looked just like me and had ringlets, curly hair, because I always wanted curly hair and never could have it. However much I tried to perm, etc., it just looked awful. And you know what? She looks exactly like me with tight ringlets. Who has them in our family? No one.
So everything is.
That's how much your thought impacts what's happening. Yeah, thoughts create everything, right? Thoughts create our whole life as it is, isn't it? You think about, what am I going to wear today? Who am I going to marry? What job am I going to do? Which house will I live in? Which holiday will I go to? Everything starts with a thought. Thought becomes word, word becomes deed, and your deed becomes your reality. It is exactly the same.
You know, we heard that 0 to 6 months in the womb is the very crucial stage, and that decides your patterns, and that's where the most common patterns or the most common issues of your life stem from. So can you share a little about that?
Even when a mother has subclinical issues which are not diagnosed, like depression, like anxiety, it can have huge impacts on the fetus and on the child. Many birth defects, neural defects, cardiac, defects and malfunctions, etc. Behavioral patterns, cognitive learning, issues with interpersonal relationships, issues with depression, with malfunctioning, all sorts of problems, physical, psychological, cognitive, behavioral, all sorts of problems can and do arise.
So just like how diabetes or there are diseases that come genetically to you, even mental health can be affected.
Yes, it is very much imbibed. From mother to child, it can very much be imbibed.
Well, what we call as the soul has a karmic structure. You mentioned, it comes from the past lives too. But it's a little complicated for the audience out there because there's so much knowledge that is out there, on Google, on Instagram, everywhere. Can you share some expertise of yours on this?
The soul has its journey, which happens through the karmic playout, and everything is recorded in the Akashic Book of Intelligence. So how is it that today you may sit with a certain nose, which may be your great-great-great-grandfather's really, or a certain jawline, which is our great-great-great-aunts. It has its intelligence, it has its memory. Way after human memory fades and life goes forward, and there's a playout, a certain structural playout, that intelligence is always there. Even when one doesn't know the other, even when lifetimes have passed, certain genetic qualities, characteristics, not just physical, but actual, behavioral patterns or characteristics, etc., can and are passed on.
I also heard that as women, when we are born, for the next couple of generations also the eggs are formed, right? The moment you are in the womb. It is related to our grandmothers, great-grandmothers, so everything is just passed on from them. Even if it's just a headache that they keep complaining about, you suddenly have headache. So it's very fascinating how life turns out with people whom you may have never met, but they belong to you.
Absolutely, we come with absolutely nothing, not even the headache that you have. Yeah, it's all imbibed from somewhere.
Okay. So while we spoke about how the fetus is affected from the environment it is born in, what are some factors that affect or have a negative impact on the fetus?
So if the mother has gone through traumatic events, let's say there's violence of any sort, a hurricane, a break-in, a domestic situation, there's screaming, there's shouting, there's, a negative incident that has occurred, there's trauma of any and every sort can and does affect a fetus. To give you one instance, a couple actually. So somebody who was born, difficult pregnancy because there were complications with the fetus having gotten entangled with the umbilical tube and the umbilical tube having gone around the fetus's neck several times. So the sensation of choking all the while. It was a difficult delivery because in that state, as the delivery was happening, the child had to be forceps out with the head. Okay, so there's a lot of choking, a lot of pulling out there. Now that infant always had issues of asthma, bronchitis, breathing disorders, heart palpitations. Where do they come from? Preterm babies, even premature deaths, stillborns, etc. On more extreme cases can certainly happen with these sort of traumatic events.
It's a little intense. It is so complicated, and at the same time, we say it's God's gift. As women, we have the power to give birth to another life. And during that 9 months, everything is monitored closely, especially in the Indian families. Kya dekh rahe ho, kya kha rahe ho, kya sun rahe ho, keep her in the
good friends.
Good surrounding. What movies are you watching?
Absolutely.
Everything is
Don't
tailored.
watch anything negative. Don't experience anything negative. That's a very good sense, yes.
So I guess as Indians, we always had it rooted in our culture, and now it's in this
It's
form.
science, it's known, it's out there, yeah.
So if there are people who have experienced such negative impacts while they were in the womb, is there a way to know, first of all, that this happened and then release it or heal it through some tools or techniques?
So very often one has a gut sense of what might have been. Depending on what the symptom is, one has an idea of what might possibly have been. Talking to family members, elders in the family, well-wishers, etc., people who were around during the time of the pregnancy, one can get other ideas and other clues as to what might have happened. Talking to one's parents, one might get some clue as to what could have happened. Hypnotherapy gives you a very good idea as well. Of course, you've got to get to a really good certified hypnotherapist. And really knowing what the issue is, what the root of it is the start of your journey. That's where you can then start understanding that it's not a personal thing. You weren't even a person at the point. Stop taking it so personally. That's the root cause of many of our problems, that we take things so personally. Everything exists on the planet, good, bad, ugly. It's not a personal thing. It's just a creation thing. So once you realize that it's not personal and you start then addressing it, working at it, well begun is half done. You know what the problem is, you can sort it. You don't know what the problem is, there's no question of sorting it.
So basically awareness is the first step towards healing.
Absolutely.
And it's good that we are talking about this because there's so many people out there, and this show is going to help them learn and at least be aware that this exists. So don't
many of
blame
our
yourself.
problems, many of the problems that people have, one normalizes, doesn't think it's anything different outside with anybody else. But when you start comparing, you realize, oh my God, this is not normal at all. Other people come into your surroundings and they point it out to you that this is not normal at all. And that's when you delve deeper into it and you find that, okay, there's a reason I'm feeling this way. There's a reason I'm going through these things. There's a reason I'm so, whatever it might be, antisocial or hypervigilant or whatever it might be. And the clues are there. Just pick up on them.
I guess a lot of people, like you said, normalize it. अरे मुझे गुस्सा आता है, मैं ऐसे ही रहता हूँ हमेशा, या फिर I'm always like this, I don't talk too much. So this all begins when you were not even born.
Possibly, not necessarily, but possibly, yes. A variety of other things as well. It could be from childhood. It doesn't necessarily have to be from home state. It could be just your personality type even. It could be a variety of things, but many things start from childhood and womb.
And I guess that eventually manifests into physical diseases or physical trauma, or what you say is distress.
Physical, cognitive, behavioral, builds your whole personality, all sorts of malfunctions and dysfunctions, yeah.
And also the good things?
There can be many good things. You have you're lucky enough to have a happy pregnancy. You can be very holistic, very all-rounded, very positive, and there are many, a good person around the place as well who've been fortunate enough not to experience this. However, having said which, at least 50% of the fetuses that are out there have had negative experiences in vitro.
So it can be you, me, anyone. But are there any practical tools that one can practice at home?
Also, do remember that when it comes to trying to rake up the past, that one really doesn't want to have these memories. One really kind of puts them away. It's our defense mechanism. It's a survival technique. And you don't want to bring up anything that may trigger a memory that is shunted away, shoved under the carpet in order to just preserve and protect you. However, the ill result of that is not being shoved under the carpet. That's right out there for all to see and all to experience, the good, bad, ugly of, etc. Primarily the person concerned.
Yes, the more you pile it up, it's going to burst someday or the other.
Yes. And the quicker you address it, the faster it can be mitigated.
And I feel a lot of people who go to therapy is because they're the victims, right?
Yes.
It's also because the people who should be going to therapy are not going and
Absolutely.
are not addressing their issues.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Really well said. That's exactly the target point, precisely the pinhead of it.
Yeah, so awareness and acceptance, the second thing that we have
Yes.
learned in this episode
Yes.
is awareness and then acceptance.
Very important.
So for all the people who directly look for solutions, skip the theory, let's get to something practical. What are some tools or techniques that we can do?
So aside from what I said, and that would really need, a clinical therapist, etc., let me give you a little bit of a sampler, a little bit of a feel, make it real. Shall we do this together? Shall we just close our eyes right now? Yeah. And imagine that we are actually in vitro. We are in our mother's womb. How does it feel? Sense the darkness. Sense the peace. Sense the space. The comfort. The fact that you have no limitations. You're not even aware of self. You just are. You're just there. There's no stress of any sort. There's nothing that you need to do. There's no concept of time or space, really. You're just there. While you're not aware of yourself, the fetus, of course, is doing a variety of things. Could be yawning. Could be sucking its thumb. Could have its legs up on their mother's uterine wall. Could be hiccuping. It all happens. And while you're in that state of total peace, all you're doing very naturally is allowing your body to bit by bit amalgamate. You're the ultimate parasite, parasiting of your mother. Everything is her. It's her heartbeat that's keeping you going. It's the food that she eats that's keeping you growing. It's the air that she breathes that sustains her life, which sustains you. The healthier she is, the fitter she is, the happier she is, the healthier, fitter, and happier you are going to be. And conversely, the opposite is also true. Let's see what's happening in your mother's environment, because you can now hear things around, sense things around. Almost, therefore, in your own way. Of course, you can't see, but you're still picking up on what's happening in the environment. What is happening in her environment? She's walked into a room. There are family members around. You can hear noises of doors, cupboards opening and closing, fans or ACs. You can hear the din of people talking. If it's calm, it's happy, you feel calm, you feel happy. People are laughing. Keeps you very eased and relaxed and happy. It just feels good. On the other hand, if she's out somewhere, if there are angry people, places, noisy places, a clutter, it builds a certain anxiety in you as well, because your mother's heart rate rises, her breath increases, her pulse changes, it's slightly all over the map, and you are only her. That's what you feel. When she's in a state of calm, when she's meditating, sleeping, getting a massage, relaxing, conversely, feel how you would now feel. Any experience that she has at all, is going to impact her, is going to impact you. Simple. Now let's just rub our hands together and build up a lot of heat between our palms. Keep doing that, keep doing that. And then use your palms to cup your eyes, the eye socket, and feel the heat from the palms dissipate into the eyeballs. You're still in your state of dark womb. And very gently, slowly start opening your eyes. Take your time. And you bring yourself back to awareness here and now.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you feel?
I guess the moment you said womb and all, I just
Transported, right?
Relax.
You feel, yes.
Yeah, I guess
everybody else is doing the work for you. You don't have to do anything.
Just relax. And as you change the situations, like I could sense my breath changing too.
Yeah, and the tension building.
Yeah.
That's just what it is.
Yeah.
So
well, that was truly a healing touch to me, to my memory, and I just transformed. And I guess this whole episode that we were talking about is personally for me, I felt it so deeply that I guess our viewers are definitely going to be benefited from this, because it's enlightening, it's going back to the basics of who you are, understanding who you are, and then working on yourself.
And more than that, it's really there to bring about a question mark to you on your journey, in terms of it's really trying to trigger your gut sense, because as you go through this, your gut will tell you, did something negative happen? Did something positive happen? Why am I this way or that way? Why am I so apprehensive? Why am I always looking over my shoulder? Why am I so guarded? Why do I have trouble in relationships? And you'll start linking your individual situation with your gut. And if you have just that, shall we call it jhalak, just that slight, flash of light on your path, that's enough to put you on your path to questioning further if there are things that are seriously hampering you in your life, holding you back in your life, that the answer could very possibly lie just there.
So, womb healing, or the state of womb that we say, we got this together, and I feel it's destiny, right? You're talking about this, and I'm sure every viewer is able to connect to it in some or the other way, and half of them must be in denial that, okay, no, maybe not, and the other half will be like, oh yes, this is what I experienced, and now I'm able to understand why it happened. So like we would like to conclude this is by saying awareness is the first step, and then accepting that there's something happening with you, and way before you were even born, is what we call the healing touch.